Obiageli ran home like a child chased by a rabid dog. She had never felt that level of humiliation her entire life. Obiageli cried until her heavy heart became lighter. What have I done to deserve all this? Am I God? Am I the one that created myself? Nestled amidst the verdant hills of eastern Nigeria, there exists a bustling village named Aba. Aba was famous all over Nigeria and even the sub-Saharan Africa for its vibrant entrepreneurial spirit and bustling commercial activities. Aba was particularly famous for its textile and garment industry. In fact, because of his skillful and resourceful spirit, Aba was nicknamed the Taiwan of Africa. Stories have it that a long time ago, in this bustling city of Aba, there lived a famous trader named Obiageli. Obiageli is a lady I would personally describe as bold and beautiful. Obiageli was popular not only for her exceptional size, but for her unwavering kindness. Obiageli was known throughout the entire village for her dauntless entrepreneurial spirit. She was such a hardworking and resilient woman. Yet, despite her virtues, Obiageli was often overlooked, sidelined, and even mocked by some village women just because of her body size. Day after day, Obiageli toiled tirelessly at the market. Her stall was never empty. It was always brimming with sample fabrics of different varieties. Obiageli's customers were so fond of her because of her friendly and bubbly disposition. The mockery from other market women was so alarming. However, this mockery was majorly fueled by jealousy. Why would she have more customers than us? What exactly do these customers find attractive in Obiageli? See how fat she is. The market women never ceased to whisper cruel words behind Obiageli's back, mocking her appearance and belittling her efforts. Obiageli was aware of all these gossips, but she chose to turn a deaf ear. Have you seen that fat woman, Obiageli? I don't know how she manages to carry herself. How did she even find a husband to stick by her till this time? My dear, I pity her husband though, poor man. He's really suffering in that marriage. One funny thing about the entire situation was that the more they gossiped about her, the more her fame grew. Because some customers visited her store solely to see this notorious fat woman, but they eventually ended up patronizing Obiageli. One fateful evening, her friend Uzoma mustered up courage to intimate her on what had been said about her. Obiageli couldn't take all this information. It was just too much for her. She felt like the whole world was crumbling on her. She felt like the ground should open and swallow her immediately. That particular evening, Obiageli ran home like a child chased by a rabid dog. She had never felt that level of humiliation her entire life. Of course, she knew that people gossiped about her, but to this extent, Obiageli was devastated. Obiageli got into her hut, shut the door, and let out the ocean of tears that were stuck in her heart. Obiageli cried until her heavy heart became lighter. What have I done to deserve all this? Am I God? Am I the one that created myself? Her husband, Emeka, heard her sobbing from outside and rushed to prepare her dinner just to console her. Emeka, Obiageli's husband, was such an exceptional man. A husband material, 1,000 yard plus. Emeka was Obiageli's soulmate. He deeply loved Obiageli despite her size. In fact, her size meant nothing to Emeka. He knew what Obiageli was passing through, and he was her true strength and comfort each time she passes through hard times. Emeka encouraged her to face her hustle and ignore all the gossips.
My view of you and God's view of you should be what matters to you. Those are your priority.
Obiageli bounced back to her shop the following day, just like nothing happened. She was seen interacting with her customers and entertaining them freely. Customers would line up at her stall, and she would hardly notice what was going on around her environment. One fateful night, Obiageli went to bed after a stressful work day and she had a very strange dream. Obiageli saw herself at the center of the popular Aba market where she had a stall. And suddenly, there was loud noise and very serious pandemonium in the market. The colonial tax masters had invaded the market and disrupted the market activities. In her dream, the pandemonium was so heated that the entire market activities were halted and people were running helter-skelter. Amidst all of this, Obiageli found herself at the center of all that was happening. Obiageli jacked up from that dream feeling very disturbed and distressed. She tried to shake off this feeling, but she couldn't. She eventually confided in her husband Emeka, and he told her not to take the dream lightly. Obiageli summoned her friend Uzoma, who was also a trader in the market. She narrated this awful dream, and Uzoma told her to raise it up at the next market meeting so that they would look into it and find a solution to whatever impending danger that was on the way. In reply, Obiageli laughed hysterically. Uzoma, why are you saying this? But you know this woman in question. You don't even like me. These women have said all manner of unprintable things about me, and you expect them to listen to me now? Uzoma persistently encouraged her to speak up. Obi, speak up and have your peace. On the next meeting for the market women, Obiageli mustered courage and raised her hand to speak after the women leader asked for any other business. Although scared and uncertain, she stood up and narrated her dream to the hearing of all. As she spoke, the entire crowd began to murmur. The next thing, everyone busted out in laughter. It was as if they had planned to mock Obiageli. Obiageli felt so downcast. She had publicly embarrassed herself. She would remain a laughingstock, she said to herself. As usual, Obiageli got back home and she cried like a little child. Before evening, the news of the shameful embarrassment spread throughout the Aba village. Emeka, hearing everything that had happened to his wife, felt so much pity for her. He lured her out of her room with sweet words. Have you ever heard of seeing an Igbo man hailing his wife? You really need to see Emeka. He prepared her best meal and told her to brace up. To the market women's surprise and shock, Obiageli was gallantly positioned at her stall the following morning, selling her wares like nothing ever happened. Weeks ran into months, and on one fateful evening, as the market was about to close up for the day, the entire market became rowdy and noisy. They are here, they are here. She said it, but we never believed her. Colonial tax masters had invaded Aba market, forcefully imposing exorbitant taxes on the market traders. A lot of people had to close down their stalls immediately and run back home. The entire incident was like deja vu to Obiageli. She got back home dumbfounded, but she narrated all the gist to her husband. Obim, you wouldn't believe what I'm about to tell you. The colonial masters invaded the market today and imposed exorbitant taxes on us, exactly as my dream had predicted. How do they expect petty traders to pay such incredibly high taxes? This is our only source of livelihood and income in the entire Aba. Obiageli and Emeka stared at each other with mixed feelings. Obiageli on her own part was hurt by the new developments. However, she couldn't hide her smile because she had told everyone and they mocked her instead. For the next 2 weeks, shops and stalls shut down and the people were clueless on what to do next. Economic hardship gradually started crippling into the whole Aba city. One evening, Zoma visited Obi. Obi, I have been sent by the market leader. Everyone is at the point of regret. They all feel bad and miserable for what they did to you, Obi. He personally asked me to come to you and plead with you to help rescue this situation. Obiageli was initially very reluctant, but deep down, something told her that she was called for this very moment. The very next morning, Obiageli swung into action. She summoned the village market women at the village square and started speaking to them. First, she spoke to them to motivate them out of their fear. Obiageli, whose voice was once timid and hesitant, now rang out clear and strong. Women of Aba, this is no time to cower in fear. This is the time to stand up and fight for our rights. Our source of livelihood, the only one we have. Remember, no one is coming to save us. We must stand up and conquer what has come to conquer us. But who will lead us in this very dangerous movement? The women asked. Everyone was quiet, even the woman leader. She couldn't speak at this very tense moment. Amidst uncertainty, Obiageli found her resolve. Drawing upon the strength she had long held within, she stood and vowed to lead the women in protest, to fight for their rights and dignity. Early each morning, for the next 6 days, the women gathered again at their usual spots, with Obiageli leading. She had shed the shackles of doubt that had bound her for so long. Her voice echoed loud and clear as they marched around the village with their placards. On the 7th day, the women charged towards the tax office. As they got to the tax office, they faced serious resistance from the soldiers who shot sporadically. At the sound of the loud gunshots, majority of the women that were part of the protests took to their heels, leaving just Obiageli and a few other women that were resolute to lay their lives even at the face of death. Obiageli stood firm and her courage was unwavering. By evening, the chief administrator came out. Obiageli faced him with her eyes ablaze with determination and conviction. She spoke to the administrator. After several hours of deliberation, the tax masters understood that the women were resolute and ready to do anything to regain their freedom from them. They knew that their fight was not going to end in a bad way. At the end of the day, the tax administrator finally repealed the law and the women regained back their freedom. The women of Aba emerged victoriously. But more than any other thing, Obiageli emerged from the shadows, her spirit unbroken and her identity forged anew. No longer was Obiageli overlooked and sidelined by the market women and everyone in the village. She was now Obiageli, a force to reckon with, a force to stand with, a beacon of hope and inspiration. For all who knew her or heard her story, the entire village celebrated her as she stood at the center of it all. Till this very day, the history of Nigeria can never be complete without the tale of the Aba women riots. This story is meant to encourage everyone facing any form of criticism or mockery for one reason or the other that is far beyond their control. I want you to remain resolute in your pursuits, because one day the whole world will celebrate with you. Thank you very much. In case if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, please do so and make sure you share to other ones. Thank you very much. See you in our next video. Bye.